Welcome everyone back to another episode of What the Tech. My name is Onyeka, your host here, and I'm bringing a guest with us who is just going to talk a little bit more about his AI journey, whether it's through the uncertainty and also the great things that have been learned along the way. So this is me introducing you to Vidur. Vidur, if you could please mention to our audience a bit about who you are, what you do, and then we can dive into the whole conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Vidur Kalive. I am the lead AI architect at York University. I've been leading the AI architecture team here at York for the past 7 years. It's been fun. It's been fun. It's been an adventure, and we've had our ups and downs, and fortunately, more ups than downs. Um, yeah, we built some cool stuff, and yeah, I'm happy to be here and happy to talk about everything we've done and the lessons we've learned, and hoping that what I share will help some of you out there.
Thank you, Vidura. And speaking to what you just mentioned about your role in terms of your role in AI, now to you, what does AI leadership look like in the educational space? Like that's like compared to just any other business. Yeah, what is it? What does that look like to you?
Yeah, so when you think of a purely commercial enterprise, right,
Hmm.
we think one that is driven um, by revenue and profit margins and stuff like that. But in education, we always approach everything with a clear focus on our mission first. AI kind of projects or products that we build, or just any sort of innovation that we do here at the university. We always measure success in terms of learning outcomes for the students,
Hmm.
improving student support, accelerating research, equity. And so we always come at problems through all of these different lenses, not always through increasing revenue or increasing our profit margins. And just like other organizations in a lot of different sectors, we have a lot of different kinds of stakeholders, right? Internal and external. So we have students, we have faculty members, we have researchers, we have staff members doing administrative stuff, we have unions, we have
Oh, wow.
regulators, right? So there's a lot of different kinds of user groups that we have to think about, and this adds different layers of complexity to anything that we try and build. Just like some of the other sectors out there, like finance and healthcare,
Hmm.
education environments also carry a lot of sensitive student data, and so
Right.
anything that we build has to kind of have privacy at the center of it,
Hmm.
because there's a huge reputational risk, right, to not use responsible AI practices when we
Right.
develop our solutions. Because of that, we have a pretty robust governance model when it comes to technological innovation. So yeah, so in I, I can, if I would kind of condense that into one sentence, I would say in higher education, AI leadership is less about moving fast. It's more
Hmm.
about moving thoughtfully at scale.
Yeah, I think that's well said in terms of moving thoughtfully at scale and even going to the point of like thoughts. What's, in your opinion, Vidur, what's something you think people most often misunderstand about AI, especially when it comes to the educational space, schools or universities?
That's a good question. So I think in the current landscape, and because of everything that is said about AI in the media, people always, especially at schools and universities and in the education sector, people equate AI with cheating, right? And I think it's too simplistic to kind of
Hmm.
frame it that way. I guess the better framing is, how do we design learning so AI becomes a coach, not a shortcut? um, right? And so when I think about what people get wrong about AI, it happens at both ends of the spectrum. So
Hmm.
on one side, you have people who think AI is going to, help people cheat, and it's not a good technology. It should never be touched. And on the other end of the spectrum, you have people who think AI can do um, magic, and it can solve all of life's problems in the next 10 seconds.
All of them?
So if you find yourself at either end of that spectrum,
Mm.
I think you should educate yourself, because there's
Hmm.
there's a lot of good ways to implement this technology, and there's also a lot of risk when it comes to
Right.
implementing this. So, and it really comes down to how you implement it, how do you enable this technology for your stakeholders. So yeah, so I guess that's what people get wrong um, about AI. The other, I guess, big myth is just talking to an AI tool, whether it is Copilot or ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever, just talking to it
Mhm.
is not really where the value comes from. The value comes from actually integrating AI into one of your existing workflows. So for us here at the university, that is student support and advising, research, administrative processes.
Right.
So just by asking a question and getting an answer, it's not really doing much because you still have to do something with that answer, right? But once you plug that layer of intelligence into one of your existing processes, that's where you see real value. So people have to start kind of moving towards that form of value, definition.
The cheating thing is it's real, but you could also ironically use AI to detect that if some
Exactly.
really amazing
Yeah.
format is created.
Yeah.
And I think interestingly enough with what you do, Vidur, you mentioned about having like a governance model at YorkU to help guide like technology innovation. What still needs human judgment with regards to AI? Like especially for the space you're in. I mean, unless AI is doing all the work, you're still doing
Yeah.
something. So
Exactly. Exactly. So everything that we build and we use here at York, the human judgment is a key part of that loop. We we
Mhm.
we still rely on human judgment, and we don't outsource that to the technology. So some examples, high stakes decisions, right? Things like advising outreach, identifying students who are at the risk of failing or dropping a course, any academic integrity cases, accommodations, accessibility, mental health, counseling, those sorts of questions. I think you will always need a human being to kind of help students, and you want to sit across a human and discuss these things, because the cost of being wrong is too high. Because in these cases, the cost of being wrong isn't just giving a bad answer to a student. It can actually change the student's learning or life trajectory, right? Because they're
Right.
going to choose
Right.
to, and that's very important. And even i- in the non-student facing use cases, things like designing courses, designing assessments, I think
Hmm.
we
Okay.
don't let AI do that. Because we know that the expertise lies with the faculty members and people who've decades of experience in teaching and learning strategies, and so we can help AI kind of ideate with them. But at the end of the day, they are going to design their courses because they know what the learning outcomes are and what the objectives are and how they want students to think and what they should take away from a course. So yeah, so in all of those cases, I think we always have to have a human in the loop, and we have to have the human judgment be kind of be the final say. So yeah, it still matters. We still matter.
That is a good point though, because the human judgment is still needed. I mean, it's you're dealing with human beings, and as a former student on my side, it's like having people to talk to is better than robots, so to speak. So, like, just
Yeah,
cause the way that like your
yeah,
whole student experience is interwoven, so many different
yeah.
things, is it just as easy as saying this or that or this or that? So, no, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
And then even in your experience, Vidur, what's one thing you wish like educators understood about AI when trying to use it in like your university
So
classroom or
I
wherever?
uh, and this is something that I kind of tell everybody who comes to us with the requirement, and they say, I want to use AI and I want access to this technology or tool. And I always say, you have to start with the learning objective, not the technology. You have to
Right.
start with thinking about what do you want students to practice, right, in your course, for
Hmm.
example. And once you know and once you can articulate that use case properly, then we can try and figure out where the technology fits. And sometimes it's not an AI problem. Just because it is the shiny new tool doesn't mean you try and use it to solve every single problem that you have,
True.
right? And the other thing educators need to know is it's not just about building a tool and making it available to your students. There's a lot of things you have to kind of do around the tool. Like you have to explain to your students how to fact check, right? You have to tell them,
Right. That's
yeah,
huge.
that's huge, right? And then you have to also tell them, explain to them what responsible use of AI looks like. And you have to have some clear norms and rules around what's allowed and what's not allowed. And you have to tell them why. Because uh, part of using a technology like this is you have to practice a lot of self-discipline. You have to protect your critical thinking skills and not outsource too much of it,
Right.
because then you're not going to learn anything. You learn how to prompt and ask questions. But the real growth in learning happens when you figure out stuff, when you make mistakes, and when you learn how to correct yourself. So yeah, so I think educators really need to explain to students what it is and how it works in the back end, and what are some of the risks and concerns they should think about when they are giving their data to some of these tools, and also tell students why they should use it, and what is the purpose behind this innovation, why is this part of their course, and how will this help them when they step into the real world, where AI will most probably be part of their job, and they'll be using it every
Right.
day, right? So yeah.
Huh. Then do do like the professors and the teachers, is AI seen as just like a nifty assistant to help with the prep for the course, or is it seen as something they'll like keep using along like the whole entirety of the course, as in the course experience, which is different from just, aligning calendars and everything else?
Yeah, and that depends really on the professor. It also depends on the course.
Mm, okay.
Like there's some courses where professors don't want AI to interfere with the course experience. So
Hmm.
they'll have it only respond to logistical questions like where is my classroom and when is the next
Oh,
essay due, stuff like that. Which, and these are questions that professors get from, they're the same questions they get from a lot of different students flooding their inbox, and so they want AI to take care of all of the admin stuff. But
hmm,
in
interesting.
some courses like engineering, computer science courses, for example, they would want AI to help students with coding, for example. You review their
Oh,
code, give
okay.
them some use cases to work on, challenge
Hmm.
them. Like one of the things that we built, we call it the AI Learning Companion. And what it does is it quizzes students on certain topics in the course. The student can select which topic they want to be quizzed on. And the questions get progressively harder if the student is giving the right responses, and they get
Oh,
progressively easier if the student is not getting the answers right. So
interesting.
yeah, so there's stuff like that that we have built, but it's up to the discretion of the professor to kind of turn them on or turn them off, right?
Right.
Because professors have academic freedom, which means they can conduct their course the way they think is right. So it's really about how much technology they they let into that classroom, and what they want to do with it.
That that makes sense, and I don't know if your queue is this far, but have you started to study that impact of AI in different classes? As in, like, I don't know if you need like a 3-year time span or like a 5-year or 10-year one to see that, okay, after these different cohorts, this is what's happening with implementing it into a class versus just having it on the back end, helping to manage admin stuff and be
Yeah,
invisible so much.
yeah. So that's something we definitely want to do, because the technology is still scaling at this point,
Agreed.
and we have pockets of the university that are really using it, a lot of professors who are power users, and then we have a lot of different users who have still not jumped on board. So I think once it scales and it becomes part of, I guess, everybody's lives, then we will have that data to do that kind of analysis and figure out what is the future direction we want to take.
It's okay, that's really good. And even to what you said about the professors are, I guess, probably one component, but with all those different stakeholders you had mentioned initially, Vidur, when it comes to like working on or at least applying AI at your queue, is there some sort of training group or somewhere where they get updates to help educate about the value of using this as just in general because some people may have those biases, like the cheating one we just talked about, where that
Yeah.
bias alone could stand in the way of them wanting to truly engage with the tool, or maybe also them feeling like there are other people who are using this tool and we're all exchanging whatever we've learned across along the way.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So we have an AI community of practice.
Mm,
We
okay.
actually have two communities of practice. So the first one is more focused on AI solutions that are built specifically for students. So we have subject matter experts and stakeholders from all different business units that are serving students. And people come there and discuss ideas for different use cases that they have. There's some people in that group who are already working with us
Okay.
to build AI solutions for students. So we share learnings, best practices, and all that kind of stuff. The other AI community of practice that we have is more around actual AI tools, how to use them,
Okay.
general education about AI, like the art of writing a good prompt and
Hmm.
what is an agent and what the different models are good for and how
Right.
the different tools operate and stuff like that. So yeah, and we also have, like, I work with our organizational learning and development team, and we have a bunch of AI courses and modules that we've created that are open to the entire community. So faculty members, staff
Huh.
members, they can go and attend one of those training sessions or go
Hmm.
back and refer to the material that they have access to. And in those training sessions, we have different formats. So we have the general training sessions that cover the basics of AI,
Hmm.
and then we have some role based education, right? Like, how can project managers use AI? How can
Right.
developers use AI for coding and that sort of stuff? So people can actually take some of this learning and use it in their day-to-day life, right? Like, knowing how to write a prompt will help you for about 5 minutes, but after that you really have to kind of figure out, how does this change my day, and what tasks in my day can I use AI to do a little faster. So yeah, so we have all of these different forums where people can get together and really. And the other really cool thing that we are starting very soon is we call them Freaky Fridays. So every Friday for an hour, teams can get together with other teams. So this is
Hmm.
cross-functional and sit down and either do a workshop, take a simple problem, and see how they can solve it using AI, or
Oh.
if a team is doing something innovative with AI, they can share that with other teams, not
Hmm.
necessarily in the same department. It can be across the
Different.
university,
Okay.
and I think that that helps people work on stuff together, because I think a big barrier to experimenting with AI is a lot of people think, no, I don't know much about this and I don't want to look like a beginner again. But then
Hmm.
when you're doing it in a group setting, I think people are more open to making mistakes and asking questions they think are stupid, but they're not,
Hmm.
because everybody has the same questions. And it's kind of like, think about, when you go to a gym class,
Hmm.
right? You're okay looking bad in that class because there's a lot of people in that class who are struggling,
Right.
right? And it removes that pain or that embarrassment of going to the gym and not
Solo.
doing much. But
Right.
if you're together, then let's suffer together. It's fine. So we're looking forward to those Freaky Friday sessions, and also because it promotes this culture of innovation, and people want to experiment with AI and then come to those sessions and put their hand up and say, oh, look at this cool thing that I did last week. So we
Right.
really we want people to have that spirit of and not have too much shame attached to using AI or making mistakes with it.
Yeah, that I think that's pretty cool actually. I personally like the name from a marketing perspective because
Yeah,
it's so different, honestly. And you do touch on something very interesting of the whole journeying with AI together, even if it's as small teams, and also we can do a cross-functional type approach to it. So I get to learn about whatever your team does, and we're both still using AI to come up with a solution. It has a good teamwork blend in it as well as the continuous learning focus. So yeah, that's because I do see that
yeah,
if people journey it alone, someone could get lost in the rabbit hole of whatever they're trying to do. Versus if we're journeying it together, we can at least
Yeah.
exchange ideas and get better because there's a lot of other people on the
Exactly.
journey. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I guess even because of that, like there's your own personal journey with AI. There's the one your journey because of your amazing title at work. How
Yeah.
would you describe your journey with AI so far if you had to put it into a sentence or even just mention it to someone who just says, "Hey, Vidur, you do a lot of stuff with AI, but how is your journey?"
Okay. So that I like that question because I have to condense the last seven years into one sentence.
It
I
could
would
be two
say
sentences.
my journey began. Um, this might be a very long sentence, but so I would say my journey began, I guess, where all good journeys begin, from curiosity.
Hmm.
So went from curiosity to building pilots and prototypes and to now building a culture at York where AI feels more useful, safe, and shared. So that's been the whole journey. If I can put it into one sentence, I think that's it.
That's a really, I love those three keywords that you brought up, Vidur, about it feeling safe, it feeling like useful, and it feeling shared. Because at the heartbeat of it, let's say even Copilot, for instance, it's the whole point is
Yeah,
co-authoring. It's never AI does every single thing for you because human beings are still needed as the
yeah,
genesis to what AI can do or should solve. So I think, especially because of, again, where you sit, the safety part of it, and also the sharing part of it, because education doesn't just sit in one pocket. It needs to breathe to
yeah,
really develop and grow. So yeah, yeah,
exactly.
thank you. Very well said.
No, no,
And even,
thank you.
no, go ahead, please.
No, I was saying thank you because you let me do that bit of introspection, which was very nice.
And you're welcome because I think even for you, it's different because your job role is literally, AI related. Like you
Yeah,
can't remove yourself from using it, but it doesn't mean you have
yeah,
to like it.
correct.
But so you liking it and actually being able to speak
Yeah,
to the experimentation and all these different things you got to do. And I like what you said also about the curiosity factor. If you see AI as a threat, you won't go any further than that. But if you see it
correct.
as it's a gateway to discover and learn different things, and at the heartbeat of it is what do you put into AI? This is different from
Yeah,
automation that's one functional code or program that's running. It's
yeah,
the AI tool where you are interacting with it as a human. It
yeah,
still comes back to you, the individual. It's not the AI
exactly.
tool alone.
Exactly. Yeah, and people often forget that when they say, you know, AI responds in this way, or it has bias, and um, it does not give me a good code when I ask for it. Like all of
Hmm,
these things. I think people often forget that you are also part of that conversation, right?
true.
Your prompt or the way you interact with it is the trigger.
It's the
So
trigger.
you can refine that. You can give it more
Hmm.
context. You can identify biases that make their way into the response, but you can also identify any biases that you kind of brought to the prompt as well, because sometimes we phrase
Hmm.
things without knowing that we have some unconscious biases. I mean, we all do. We're
Hmm.
human beings, right?
Hmm.
And sometimes it's responding to that because it's going off what you have brought to the conversation. And also, when people say, I don't like the quality of the responses that AI gave me, it often happens because people don't know what a good answer is before they ask the question.
That's a good statement.
If you know what you're looking for and you
Hmm.
specifically ask for it, then the chances are you will get it. I think that's a general rule for life, not
It
just
should be.
prompt engineering. But so yeah,
That, yeah, and I agree with you because you don't necessarily know what the answer is going to look like. You want it to be a good answer because you gave hopefully a good prompt and everything. But like,
yeah,
how good are we as human beings at recognizing that this answer sounds good, but is it good? Because it's always interesting when you ask AI, "Is this true, or was this? Have you factually checked every single thing?" And then
yeah,
maybe it now says, "Oh, I might have missed this or missed that." So
yeah,
even those extra, I say safeguards, but just that the scrutiny so that you
yes,
don't just go with the first answer it gives you has to be the best.
yeah,
Yeah, because that I think that's now a sub skill that we need in this
yeah.
digital age.
Talking about skills that AI is forcing us to build, the
Hmm.
the biggest gift that AI has given me in the past few years is something that Google took away from us. So let's say pre-Gen AI, when
Hmm.
we all of us turn to Google, right? And we always use keywords.
Hmm.
We were never forced to articulate our problem with so much detail and granularity and give context and explain what a good output is and who we're doing this for and like the structure of the rest. Like
Right.
there's so much you have to put into an AI tool. So much that
Sure.
has to go into your prompt. It forces you to really think about the problem. And to put that into words, you have to know your problem really well. And
Hmm.
I think that is a great gift because that's a beautiful intellectual exercise to do. Because sometimes when you're doing that exercise, you kind of come up with the answer yourself. And you're like, you know what?
Right.
I think I know what to do. Right?
Thank you for mentioning that. Like, I think that pretext is to Google and how it's trained millions, if not billions, of people as to just you almost, I don't want to say phishing, but like you throw that one keyword, two, three, four, five, and it's
Yes.
whatever shows up. And
Yeah.
people usually did it go past page one. So
Yeah.
it's very rudimentary to some degree, but that's different
Exactly.
from the interactivity that
Exactly.
comes from AI, where you can't just one keyword, not even five, it's not enough. Like you're going to have to keep refining whatever your prompt and statement is to really get the most because the keyword era is, I don't want to say it's over, but it's not the same response.
Exactly. Yeah. I completely agree.
And to that even like my second last question to you, Vidur, and thank you for everything you're saying here. Speaking of what you just said about Google, that new skill that we're being forced to learn by interacting with AI tools. What skills do you think leaders need the most in the next 5 years when it comes to AI? Because it's making its way into everything we do.
I would say 5 years from now, I
Mm,
think a good leader should have good instincts when it comes to AI.
mm,
So, when I say instincts, what I mean is they should know when to say yes, when to say not yet, when to
mhm,
say yes, but with some guardrails around the
mhm,
technology. They should have a deep understanding of what the limits are, because AI is not one thing, right? So within AI, you have different models, you have different providers, you have different architectural patterns, you have different kinds of data going into it. So for for all of these different use cases, they should be able to look at a problem and immediately understand what the limits are when it comes to integrating this technology into that
mhm.
process, what the risks are, where does value come from. I think leaders should really know how to measure success when
Right.
it comes to these AI projects. So AI literacy, I would say that's the first one. They should
Mhm,
know they should know everything from best practices to limitations, and then governance instincts. That's what I mean by knowing when to say yes, when to add some guardrails around the technology, and the focus on outcomes, which is the definition of success. What does success look like for you, for your team? And sometimes success is not quantifiable. You cannot measure impact. You can measure impact in terms of time saved and quality of service given, but a lot of times success, the value of AI comes kind of outside the project, and you can't measure your culture becoming your innovation becoming a part of your culture and your
right.
organization becoming comfortable with experimentation. And like all of those things cannot be measured. They're qualitative and they're intangible. And so yeah, so I'll say those are the three big things: literacy, governance, and the outcomes. Leaders should be super clear on all of those things.
That's a good point because some of those things are not measurable in the same, like
Yeah,
it's qualitative versus quantitative, and it has to be okay to accept it that it's not all about the hard numbers in everything, but because some
yeah,
of the qualitative stuff is has its own different influence on an organization. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
This one might be my second favorite question is what's your favorite way of using AI right now, whether that's personal or even at your queue?
I think my favorite way of using AI is I use it as a thinking partner.
Mm,
Let's put it
mhm,
that way. So even before I start a project or a big task in my personal life or whatever, I'll always go to AI with a plan that I have for the
mm,
project, and then I'll ask it to challenge me, find
hmm.
loopholes in the plan, how the plan can be improved. Are there different ways of thinking about this problem? Am I missing something? And then we have this back and forth conversation, which sometimes gets very heated. But then at the end of it, when we finally arrive at a plan that feels right and comprehensive, then I won't just take that and go ahead and do what it's told me, because when you have expertise in a domain, your instincts kind of kick in, and you look at things in the plan and you say, you know what, my real life experience tells me
Right.
that will
This.
not work.
Right.
But there are all these different things that I've not thought about, because like I said before, we all come with our own set of biases, and we can't put ourselves in everybody's shoes. But then AI will kind of push me to say, have you thought of this? Have you thought about what this experience will look like to a student or a staff member who has a different context and who's trying to use this tool? And then I'll be like, oh, you know what, I did not, because I was
Mhm.
so focused on the technical problem and solving it, that I didn't maybe put myself in the shoes of all the different users we're building this for. So there's that bit of that ideation process that I really love. That conversation is really very um, yeah, it's super helpful, honestly. Yeah. So thinking
That's
partner, that's what I
thinking
use it
partner.
for.
Yeah. I like the fact you're mentioning the thinking partner part of things because I think AI is just co-authoring. You can get a lot of synergy if you work together there. And what you said, which I'm not sure how many people do this, the challenging, like you actually
Yeah.
bring up, you're not asking AI for a plan per se versus bringing what you have and telling it to challenge your
Yeah.
plan and actually reveal if there's loopholes and then improve the plan, which is it's like a reinforcement type prompt, which I admire because it's not easy to allow
Yeah.
AI to tear your plan to pieces or, critique it, but it's it can help for sure.
Yeah. And the so when I say a thinking partner, the other kind of situations where it helps me is if I am thrown into a project or a situation that I don't really have a lot of knowledge about.
Hmm.
Um, for example, if I'm talking about a technical project and I've been given access to the code, and um, I've been asked to help out, but I have no clue, like what was done in the past and what this project is about. Then I'll ask Copilot or one of the coding assistants that we use and say, can you explain this to me? Can you explain why we're doing this and what do the different functions in this tool actually do, what they were built for? So it really helps me get up to speed with things really quickly. And I think in the past, that barrier of entry was too high. Like you would have to go away and sit in the library and read books and find the
Right,
right
to
find the
absorb.
right people who can give you the knowledge. But now it'll explain things to me that I don't know, and then I take it from there, right? And then
Mhm.
you go forward from that point.
That's honestly, that's great to hear. And on that note, I want to say again, thank you so much, Vidur, for sharing your story and also the things you've really gotten to learn from AI and how its application is still in progress, yet it still has value when the right
Yeah.
settings are in place in terms of the governance structure, even the training aspect of things, and also the perception of the individual who's harnessing AI. Thank you again for tuning in to What the Tech. Please do soak in everything that's been said, apply it, let us know how it helped. And until next time, have a great day and thank you for listening.